Now, there are so many galleries around the world, so many beautiful, insightful spaces that you can just soak in the beauty of art. But I will tell you, there is one gallery that has proven to be most accessible and the most fulfilling for some people. Could be toxic as well. I'm talking about the social media gallery. And this is where Malik Afegbua blew up with his Elder People series. I mean, no one could understand why this man made older people, who quite honestly, if you think about it, are often made to look not as interesting. He made them look so interesting to look at, you know, through the fashion, through the design, and he did all of this through AI. Now, Malik Afegbua is a Nigerian filmmaker, artist, and creative technologist. Yeah, he is well known for his outside-the-box thinking approach. He applies the use of artificial intelligence technology in the field of arts. Obviously, he doesn't do this without his strong backbone, being the lead visionary and chief executive officer of Slick City Media. Now, this is a full-fledged, innovative media production company, and he joins me now to discuss his out-of-the-box approach to the art of storytelling through photography and filmmaking, and of course, the use of AI, virtual reality. Malik, it's great to have you on Arise 360, and I have to just say that I am a huge, I would say, appreciator of your work. I wouldn't say fan, because I think that waters down the impact of what I'm trying to say, but I deeply appreciate your work. And I believe that, you know, every photographer, every cinematographer has an eye, and a lot of things build this eye. You know, some people it's experience, some people it's what they literally look at in the moment. So this brings me to my first question to you, which is your story. Take me back to when this love began for photography, for looking at something and just wanting to create something out of the box with it.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. For me, storytelling is very important. It's very crucial in everything that we do, in the life that we live, thinking about where we're from as well. So, and you know how powerful storytelling is. Look at the West, look at Hollywood, and look at how they've shaped history in time. So having that power to tell stories, to shape, you know, to change mindsets or perspectives is something that I've always been interested in. And doing that in a positive way, you know, being intentional about it, or just finding ways to shift current ways of thinking to thinking towards ways of success or ways of change or ways of solving problems. So that was my initial approach from the inception, having that power behind the lens to tell proper stories that could change. Yeah.
Very important. What would you think, or rather, what would you say was your first foray into photography? What was the first picture you ever took that made you realize that, okay, hey, this is the first thing you ever filmed that made you know, like, this is something I definitely want to do?
Wow. I used to have a camcorder a very long time ago. I think I was still in secondary school then. And I never knew I was going to be like a storyteller or anything, but that is how it started. I've always told stories. I've always been creative. I've always drawn. I've always taken things apart, you know, technological things, and put them together. So that's always been me, that curious person. So not up until about 15 years ago that I really held onto it and I realized, okay, this is my calling. But the inception was almost natural. It was almost like it was calling me to it, you know, regardless of what I studied in school or my experiences before that. So I'd say it was more of a natural thing. And as far back as I think I was in my SS2 back then. So yeah, long time ago.
Now, you play around with artificial intelligence quite well, and it's interesting because now more than ever, there's been an increasing need to safeguard personalities from the dangers of artificial intelligence, just like you did the Elder series, which is amazing. What a lot of stars are now facing is people are not only doing things with AI, but they're also using their likeness, their voice. So as someone who is well versed in the use of AI, I'm sure you are as well in the misuse of it. So is this a danger that we should all be worried about, or do you think it's just another thing that's just going to pass?
I think we should be worried about it. And the more we say no to AI, the more we don't explore, is the more we're going to be in trouble. Technology always grows, whether we like it or not. So why not be at the forefront of that growth? why not understand how you could protect yourself from the people that want to use it for unethical things? You know, tech could be used for either ethical or unethical things, depending on the user, like every other tech. And this is something that is growing really fast. It's something that is evolving really fast. So why would you be in a space where you don't understand the technology, and 10 years from now, it's something you cannot control and you don't know where you play? So the worry that I have is if we don't adopt it, if we don't, do more research, if we don't explore, experiments, make mistakes, correct those mistakes, and really actually know the role that we play in that space. That's the worry that I have. But every other thing is controllable. Like anything that happened and has happened over history has been controlled, regardless of how advanced or misunderstood it's been. But now thinking about this, that could shape the future, that will shape the future. As Africans, as Black people, we need to be at the forefront of making, of controlling, of changing the wrong bias narrative in the digital space. So the only fear I have is adopting it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason
adopting it.
Yeah, the reason I ask that is because, like you rightly said, you are adopting it. But my thing is, if you take your mind back to when non-fungible tokens were all over the place, everyone was all about non-fungible tokens. People would tell the likes of Chinedu Kedezi and Osita Iheme that, listen, you guys need to get on NFTs because you guys are about to make a whole lot of buck. And all of a sudden that phase equally just kind of slowed down, where people started asking themselves, why am I buying so much money in this virtual space? Like, what is going on here? You are well versed in virtual reality as well. So what's your assessment of this? Is it just another NFT craze, or is the craze actually worth it?
It is not another craze. NFT was a marketplace, more of you when you buy and sell or when you invest in something. This is a lot different. This affects every single industry that you could think about, and is more of either a solution-based or problem-solving, or to speed up a process, or to create something out of nothing. So that means that if you can create something out of nothing with this technology, there are many solutions in front of you that you've not actually solved yet. There are many things that you actually not even created yet with it. There are many possibilities with it. So it's not a gimmick. And we've been using AI for a very long time, but we've just not realized it. And it's just now that because of the facade of the name, artificial intelligence, that people are kind of stuck on that name. It is something more of an assistant, and it's something that will be prevalent throughout as long as we could think, the coming years would be, because think about every company now adopting AI. Every company from the telecoms to the food, to aviation, everybody adopts AI for one reason or the other. So I'm very sure, because of the fact that we are trying to get into AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, even from where we are right now. And that's going to be a crazy place, when things become autonomous, when decisions are actually placed on machines. So definitely it's going to grow. Think about the sci-fi films that you've watched. Forget about the doomsday side of it, but think about the solution side of it. So that means that if technology grows, think about where we've come from VHS to now that we are on the Netflix and a streaming service. It's the same way I look at it. And the fact that it's learning fast and it's learning from data. And the more we have data that's existing, it's going to learn from that, either if it's biased or not. So definitely not a gimmick.
Photographer and cinematographer, you would agree that the number one power of anything you produce is the heart behind it. The fact that I can look at, for instance, the Elder series and I can feel the emotion. And some people look at it and they're just like, oh, this is cute. So as a creative, as an artist, as a culture technologist, how do you juxtapose AI and also balancing the heart of the work you're creating? Because some people would say, listen, it's not real. So what am I supposed to feel from this?
It's the approach. If you look at AI as a tool, you would understand that it's just a tool and nothing more. As every other tool that I use Photoshop, I use Premiere Pro, I use many other tools, and AI is just part of those tools that I use. But the difference between that and every other tool is that I could create something out of nothing. I could imagine, I could reimagine, but I have experiences on how things should work in terms of my background in film, in photography, composition. So I put all those experiences into this AI machine. It's not just me putting in a prompt and getting a result. I actually put my experiences in it at a particular stage. If I'm trying to make more variations or I was trying to visualize something, So it's not like garbage in, garbage out, put it out there. No, it's just a process. There's a pipeline that we go through to create something. And that's the only reason why I could copyright my work today, because most of what I put is 70% of me and maybe 30% of the AI machine. So think about it as that. Then every other thing is will just fall into place, because if you put in a prompt on an AI machine today about maybe a boy in Lagos and someone does that in China, you're going to get the same thing or something very similar. But for you to be unique, for you to be different, you have to actually put yourself into it. And that's possible. And that means you have to train it. You have to train a neural network for it to understand the kinds of ways that you work, the kinds of ways that you think, and how the kinds of type of results that you're trying to get as well. So, and that means if you could customize it up until that point, you could customize your results as well. Yes, AI takes from the neural, from scrubs, from everywhere and all of that, but you could also control it. You could also get specific results from what you want. So the heart comes from the human, and that is why I know that the AI, systems could never replace human beings, whether we like it or not. We will only be replaced by people that use the systems properly.
But can I tell you, let me tell you a funny story. So I was gonna go for, I went for the Met Gala this year, and I reached out to a fashion designer to design a dress for me because the theme was Garden of Time. Believe it or not, the fashion designer used AI to design my dress. And how did I know this? Because I knew what he was doing, and I had gotten something similar. And not only did he use AI to design this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dress for me, he charged me a premium, well over 3.5 million naira. So make this make sense. When people pay a premium for AI works, what exactly are you paying for? Am I paying for what a robot did? Or like you said, am I paying for the customization of the work that the AI did through you?
You're paying for the artist's job, you're paying for the artist's experiences and the artist's talent. The AI, like I said, is just a tool. Anybody can use the AI systems, but not everybody could come out with the same type of results. So the designer would charge you a premium because he or she knew exactly what they were doing. And like you said, it's beautiful, but someone else might try to pull that off and not do the same thing. So that difference, that experience is very key. That talent is very key. That understanding of actually what you're doing, regardless of what the machine could guide you to, is very key as well. So that's what you pay for. A writer that approaches ChatGPT and a non-writer that approaches ChatGPT, the results will be very, very, very different. So that really counts. And people need to understand that it is just a tool. It's a template. How can you utilize that template to something more personalized, to solve problems or create things that don't exist? So I charge a premium as well for everything that I do. And even if I use AI, I charge more when I use AI, because it's not about AI. It's about the fact that you could imagine something and make that imagination a reality using different machines, different technologies. And this comes with skill sets as well. So I think that is all you pay for, not the machine.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Let's go into virtual reality. In filmmaking, right now, filmmaking has gotten to an amazing point, especially with the technology that we're bringing in. I recently watched Oloture, The Journey, and I was incredibly impressed with the angles and this fact that the cinematographer knew exactly what they wanted to get. But they were in Mauritania for a while. The filmmaking is not an easy task. So with regards to virtual reality, is it there as a tool to make these things easier? How far can virtual reality go into creating a substantive work in film?
Think of what theater is to film, and that's what film is to virtual reality. So I'll explain. You watch a film on a 2D space, you watch a film on a television set, and you're experiencing it through that television set, with the sound and the visuals. But when it comes to virtual reality, you're actually in the environment. You're being immersed in the actual environment. You're part of it. It's very different from when you're watching it, and when you're part of the story. So in virtual reality, we film in 360 degrees. So that means you see everything around you. In normal films, we just, point the camera on a particular space and the actors do what they have to do. But when it comes to VR, it's a lot different because it's a lot natural. You have to do things every time in every different angle. Like everywhere you look, something has to happen. So that's a different, very, very different type of storytelling. It's not gonna take over filmmaking. It's not gonna replace it. It's just a different type, of emotions you're trying to get from it, of feelings you're trying to get from it, of immersiveness you're trying to get from it. And it's not really kicked off as much because of the fact that you still need to wear gear, a device before you could experience it. But I'm hoping that in the nearest future we could experience it without, even wearing massive things. And that's the divide that we're having from the VR side and the traditional filmmaking side now. But the only difference as well, I would say, is the emotions that you get from VR is a lot different from what you get from watching a film, because now you're part of that story. Now you could imagine what people were feeling in that space. Now you could mentally soak in an environment and understand it from your point of view. You are the director. So that's the difference between it. But it hasn't kicked off yet, like I said. But I hope in the nearest future it will, because that could preserve, culture, preserve knowledge, history, go to spaces that are already dilapidated or dying out, like we did with the Kofa Mata dye pits, get that in a VR space and immortalize it forever, So it's many uses and many use cases for it, but we're still growing.
We are. I mean, this brings me now to the foundation of everything, our creative economy. It's a blessing and a frustrating effort as well when I find creators like yourself. And when you speak of your journey, I ask myself, okay, so the economy that we have, and this takes me to our policies and, the government's influence in the creative space. How would you say this has influenced your work? Has it made it easier? Or is it even a free space? Like, they're not even looking at that side yet, So what's that like for your journey?
Currently, it's a lot better now because there's been a lot of attention in the creative sector. But when I was coming up, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for me. I didn't have a lot of mentors, organizations, communities that I could be a part of or that could help me grow. But what that did for me was it made me more resilient, and it made me more wanting to be more professional in the things that I do so that I could be international. That means that I could, cross on my T's and dot on my I's. So for me, it kind of helped me from the space that I was in to where I am today. But where I am today is in a space where we need that enablement from the creative economy that could make everybody grow, because we have a lot of smart people, a lot of creative people that have many solutions for many different sectors. But how can we bring them out there? How can we support them? How can we showcase them and even see what they have? Right now, like I said, there are many events, there are many courses, grants, and everything that are happening now. So it's a lot better. It could be a lot better, with the inclusion and all of that, but it's a lot better than it was before. I could tell you that for free. But like I said, it wasn't what it used to be. So, and in Nigeria, we're a very young country, so we need to look at it from that point of view as well, regardless of every other thing that's happening. Put yourself in a space where people want to invest in you. So regardless of what the economy or anybody could do for you, what are you doing for yourself? And if you could hone up your skills to a space where you're comfortable, every other thing will follow, which is what I did. So with or without a creative economy, I was able to strive. I was able to, grow, and, with the help of God as well. But I know now that the world understands how the creative economy and storytelling actually shapes the world, it's going to even get a lot better from where we are today. So I'm hopeful.
I am as well. And I would say that my hope is actually positive, because over the last few months, the ministry, they've done so much work as it pertains to filmmakers, animation creators. So I believe that it is going to get into this as well. And the people in the space would greatly benefit from it if it reaches their hand and people don't just grab it for themselves. But let's talk about you now, Malik. What are you up to? I mean, well done. 2023, you made me just tell myself, listen, this is going to be me when I'm like in my 60s.
Thank you. Currently, I'm working on what I call the biggest project of my life. And that's the evolution of the Elder series and where it's led me to today. I am currently documenting stories from people that are aged 80 and above, from different sectors, different backgrounds, different places, starting from Nigeria, but we're going to go all around the world to do that. And we're asking questions, about their lives 50 years ago, 30 years ago, in connection to their life today, and in projection to what life would be 50 years from now in the future. And the reason why I'm doing this is because in our lifetime, nobody has ever met their ancestors. We may have been lucky to see a black and white picture. But now the next generation will be opportune or privileged enough to meet their ancestors because we've documented the stories. We've documented the culture, the heritage, and all of that. And we plan to do it all over the world and eventually make it become a time capsule. So that is one thing, and I'm very excited about that because it's going to literally last forever. And also working on a party for only elderly people. And if you're not above 60, you're not invited. So that's very exciting. We're working on that, working on another fashion show as well for the elders, and working on a few films. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. But on the other parts, yes, exciting stuff, so look out for those.
Well, Malik, I mean, I know that I am not anything close to 60, but you got to give me like a special invite because now I believe that we're friends and, we're on a journey. So I am not missing that party because that party is going to be so lit. So there's no way I'm missing out on it. Malik, thank you for sharing your insight into your craft with me today on the show. This has been an epic conversation and good luck with everything you're doing. We're definitely watching you. Thank you.